Good morning, everyone. Jim Clark here at the Synchronicity Sanctuary in Central Virginia to share a contemplative focus with you today. And so the focus that I want to share with you today is accepting what is, finding clarity and purpose on the path to self-awareness. At the heart of our journey lies a simple truth about why we're here. In the progression after awakening, we began to answer timeless questions. Who am I? Why am I here? What's the purpose of it all? To grow and to deepen our awareness. That is the purpose that we began to realize as we continue our journey. True evolution is measured by our self-awareness, by understanding that fundamentally there is only one universal consciousness. There is nothing else. So, since I'm addressing an audience that is meditating, that is on their evolutionary journey as opposed to their involutionary journey where they're becoming more identified with ego and with illusion, I'll focus mostly on that aspect of the cycle of existing on earth as a human being. So here we are, and we're meditating every day, we're evolving, we're trying to move ahead, and yet how much understanding do we have of that process and our purpose? And do we ever doubt that we're going anywhere, somewhere in our evolution? It may seem so. I know I felt that way at times. And yet, I know that meditation, which is only happening when you're beyond your mind, is something that's very rare, even amongst meditators. Our teacher often addressed our illusion that we were meditating when we were still thinking or suppressing thoughts. So even in a sanctuary such as this, where the entrainment was so powerful and consistent, moment to moment, day after day, year after year, it didn't matter. It did matter, and it was an exceptional experience and very challenging in that too, because of the nature of meditation itself, is that it's a cathartic process that we're in here. What is in the way is the way. Whatever is not truthful that we're still holding on to surfaces to be cleared. So there is a cathartic process when you're in a environment like this, or if you're just meditating anywhere, you're going to start to go through that same process, and you're going to have wonder if your meditation is, shall we say, working. It's always working. But we're all in a different place. There's no two people on earth that are in exactly the same place in their evolutionary or involutionary cycle. So we are where we are, and we experience what we experience because that's what's appropriate for us to experience. And so the idea that something isn't working is often because we're in a hurry, or because we are human beings, we think we're in a hurry, and that something isn't happening because we're not evolving, or we're not doing something right. And this is clearly not true. We could be doing something that's not totally right according to tradition, according to something that was written, or some quote that we read that was written by someone who did have a expanding awareness experience and wrote something about it. But this is one of the errors that many people here make, and I know I've made it myself too, that was addressed by our teacher, Master Charles, because we're all in a different place, and our evolution in terms of experiencing our truth comes when our time is here to have that experience. And if it's not time for us to have that experience, we won't have it, no matter what you do. So really, ultimately, being yourself. Being yourself, being content as you can be with yourself. Meditating every day, journeying the journey, diving into the context of spiritual evolution, because that's where you're at in your cycle, is fine. It doesn't mean that you have to have an experience to validate it. You have an experience that's validating it, but you may not see it that way. That's because you are reading or engaged in meditation, or reading things about meditation, or just beginning and hanging out with other people that are meditators and interacting with them, because there's a context where you can have a mutual understanding of what your journey is all about. And you are consciousness pretending to be a human being. This is something that we come to realize early on in our meditative career. And why we're here? To evolve. How fast? We don't know. From a human perspective, it can seem very slow. But remember, this is a journey of countless lifetimes. And what's the purpose of all of this? It's simply that there's a primary intention in consciousness to pretend to be other than it is, so that it can rediscover the truth of itself for the fun of it, for the sake of itself. And that's really what we are. We're that consciousness. We are fulfilling that purpose because we are consciousness, and that same intention is alive within us. So it's happening, and there's nothing that can stop it from happening. Consciousness will be itself. It will evolve itself as it will. All 8.3 billion human beings on this planet that are going through some process in relation to that intention. That's what's happening. That's just the purpose why we're here. And we are all fulfilling it, irregardless of what our minds might think. Meditation begins where the mind ends. So the mind is a illusion generating machine, and it's never ending. As long as you are thinking, as long as your mind is active, understanding that it's really just an illusion generating machine and not taking it so seriously is probably about the best thing you can do. Trying to force the mind to stop doesn't work. Trying to use any technique to bring stillness to your experience will not work unless it's your time to have that experience. Even though you're meditating to get there, and that meditation practice that you're doing today will bring you eventually to that experience that you're looking for. So it's really not something that the ego can control. There's not much of anything in this journey that the ego can really control. And that's one of the big issues, human issues, that we have, and we're seeing a lot of it today as we are living in what's called interesting times. Old ways are falling apart, new ways are coming into being. There's upheaval everywhere in all quarters of human experience, and a lot of uncertainty in this day and time where we have so much potential for self-destruction, and yet on the other hand, we also have a huge potential for evolving and becoming more aware of who we truly are. This does not make it into the media, however. The negative does, because the media is comprised of the limitations of egocentric experience, fear-based experience, fear-based living, as opposed to love-based living, where the realization of being this consciousness that everything is, however deep and however complete that might be, is happening within ourselves. So we see the potential, we see what's happening, but Consciousness is orchestrating the show because there is nothing else. And this is easy to forget as an individual human being on the planet, irregardless of where you are in your journey. It doesn't look like there's anything controlling anything here. It looks like it's kind of like random chaos. But that's the very nature of consciousness, is chaos. It's a celebration that's never ending, and it's never trying to repeat anything, any experience, anywhere, anytime. So it's chaos, and it's a never-ending celebration of itself to itself for the sake of itself. We are that self. We are that consciousness. So we're all a part of it. And as a human being, of course, we are conditioned to think of life as a birth, growth, and death process. I know people in my own family are going through that kind of a process, but they're not meditators yet. They're not at that stage of their development where they're interested in meditation. They might be curious, but they're not really practicing it. But who cares? It's not something to be worried about. It's an inevitable process. It may not be in this lifetime. It probably won't be in this lifetime that any one of us that is here in this moment together will ever be awakened to the point that would be what we would call mastership. But this is a forever progression of ever evolving wholeness. There is no end. There is no limit. Consciousness does not know limits. It does not know fear. It does not know what it cannot accomplish or experience. And so why not experience everything? Because that's what it is doing. That's what we are doing. As a part of consciousness, we're fulfilling a part of that whole process. So the party is on. We are evolving. We're becoming more clarity within it, because if you consistently go to the teachings of Master Charles or any teacher, you will find bits and pieces here and there that apply to where you are in your journey. And that's very valuable for you to know. I do that here all the time, going back and watching videos or reading quotations and statements that our teacher gave us and shared with us, because those insights, some of them won't make sense because they're not about where you are in your journey. Some of them will make sense, and they'll give you some more clarity in your journey to the path of self-awareness, the ever-evolving path of self-awareness. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. The party's going, the party's happening, nothing can stop it. So enjoy it. There's nothing you can do to stop it, for sure. And to that end, don't worry about your meditation. Do it the way you do it, because that's where you are. I do it the way I do it. And for many, many years here, I used to think, well, I'm not generating the experience that I read about or that I hear about in terms of the grand aha moments where you have a major breakthrough, where you go beyond the mind, where you let go of it, where you dissolve the mind and there's nothing there, no form, just pure awareness. I have had that experience. That was my awakening experience. Never could generate it again on my own. Come close, but not so. And with the understanding that I have about the journey, that doesn't really bother me either, because I know that's where we're all headed for. We're headed for that point in our evolutionary journey where we can dissolve our mind and go beyond it to experience the truth of who we are, the truth of what everything is. And that is the celebration and the point of all of this. So until next week, I bid you adieu, and I thank you so much for being here. I hope you all have a Merry Thanksgiving and enjoy life to its fullest for what it really and truly is. So until next week, I thank you for being here, and I'll see you again.